Good Monday morning, everybody. Meteorologist Johnny Lively here. It is off to a quiet start. Let's jump into the Monday show, which is sponsored by HB Neal Construction. Radar is awfully quiet. Thanks to our sponsor of Dana Simmons Real Estate Team, we can show you that there's not much going on radar and not much going on satellite and radar as well, too. The only thing that we're seeing high up in the sky, we can see some high clouds that are moving in from the west. This really set the stage for a nice sunrise this morning, bringing in some really nice colors. But other than that, no rain as of right now. We are expecting some showers later on this afternoon into the evening time hours, and we'll talk more about that later in a minute. Here's the temperatures across the United States. Thanks to our sponsor of Do Good Credit Union, you can see Denver is over there at 57 degrees, Oklahoma City at 67. Areas further south are getting into the 70s, and we can zoom in here locally at southeast Texas and southwest Louisiana. We really vary from the upper 60s getting into the low to mid 70s. It's not down into the coast like until Galveston. You start seeing some 80s. Galveston currently at 80 degrees, Houston at 77, but not too bad. We are expecting that temperatures will get into the low 90s later on this afternoon, slightly above what we kind of see this time of year. Typically, we're around 91 degrees. We'll be around 91 up to 94 degrees. But here's our construction outdoor forecast later on today. Not a bad day. We start having some of these passing showers later on into the afternoon hours, 10 to possibly 20% coverage. But overall, this should not ruin any outdoor plans that we have and shouldn't ruin any construction. Just know that we can have some passing showers later on this afternoon. Upper level flow, you can see, sponsored by Neutron Electrical Services. We still have that high pressure ridge over our area. But by Wednesday and Thursday, this kind of wants to break down just a little bit and start moving off to the west a little bit more, possibly opening the door for a little bit more rain coverage. So as we start getting into Wednesday, notice the high pressure ridge really isn't dominating the region as much. Further to the north, we can actually see this trough of low pressure that's finally allowing that ridge to break down just a little bit. And this opens the door for a couple more shower opportunities we start getting into Wednesday and Thursday. That high pressure ridge really far off to the west. Last week, it was right over our region. We're finally starting to see that it wants to move just a little bit. So if we could slide over to the atmospheric moisture, we could still see lots of dry air, not only in southeast Texas, but into the Gulf. But notice some green starts moving into our area. This will be the chances for some isolated showers, not only today and tomorrow, but another round as we start getting into Wednesday and Thursday. So we're still slightly above average on the temperature department this week, but we start seeing a little bit better rain chances. Still limited, not great, but we'll start seeing a little bit better rain chances versus what we saw last week. So you can see there's some windows of opportunity for some rain. And this brings us to the futurecast. You can see that clouds cover starts moving in, the high clouds from the west. This gives us some of the moisture that we need, some isolated showers later on this afternoon, 10 to possibly 20% coverage this afternoon. Shouldn't ruin any outdoor activities. Dies down overnight. We get into Tuesday morning, not much expected, but by Tuesday afternoon, we can see once again 10 to possibly 20% coverage for some showers, possibly some thunderstorms across the region, but again, coverage is very limited, not too bad. But overall, we're seeing those temperatures throughout the day today going to be into the low 90s. Some areas might get close to mid 90s, but overall, with the cloud cover that we're having, this should keep us into the low 90s. Down towards the coast, we'll be into the mid to upper 80s. Not too bad. This is thanks to our sponsor of Switch Electric. Notice the lows up there towards the lakes region or further to the north, well north of the I-10 corridor, will be into the upper 60s. Along the I-10 corridor will be into the low 70s. Houston at 74, Beaumont 71, Lake Charles and Jennings down at the low 70s. Along the coast, Galveston will be the warmest at 81 degrees, but along the coast should be into the upper 70s. Watching the tropics, we got one area that we're watching. This is the tropical wave that we've been talking about. It is slowly getting a little bit better organized, still dealing with some dry air, but what we are seeing is that it has lots of showers and thunderstorms in that region. Still dealing with some of that dry air, but we start noticing as we get into later this week, it kind of thins out, and you can see where that spin is. Notice it still will deal with some of that dry air, but it's not too much to really limit it from developing. So this should be a tropical depression as we get into the middle to the end of this week. By Thursday and Friday, this should be a tropical depression as we get into the end of the weekend, possibly getting a little bit better organized. But notice the door opens for this to curve away. So this will not be an issue for the Caribbean, will not be an issue for the Gulf, likely not even going to be an issue for the United States. This will likely curve away going out to sea. And there is some futurecast models that show that it could be a hurricane, but we'll continue to watch it, but no issue at all. Temperature outlook, not for this week, for next week. Notice this week we are slightly above average in the temperature department. Even next week, it looks like we will be slightly above average as well, too. So really what we're kind of showing is No cold front in sight just yet. That means the temperatures are going to be hanging around into the low 90s. Around this time of year, our temperatures are around 90 degrees. So being that we're 92, 93, possibly getting up to 94 or 95, we are slightly above average, the temperature department, but not too bad. But it still is slightly above average. Rain coverage gets a little bit better as we get into Thursday. That's when we have a little bit more moisture coming into our region. That high pressure ridge finally breaks down. Getting into southwest Louisiana, same song and dance. Rain coverage is not zero. We have 10 to 20% coverage the next couple of days. Gets a little bit higher as we get into Thursday. That ridge finally breaks down a little bit, but notice those temperatures are going to be slightly above average. Probably going to be that way as well too. So you guys enjoy your Monday. Thanks for tuning in, Gulf Coast Weather Solutions. I will see you again on Tuesday morning, but we'll still have posts throughout the day on our Facebook page, and we still have our 24/7 page going on YouTube. So don't forget to check that out. Have a wonderful Monday, and thanks for tuning in.